South Korea's impeached president Yoon Suk-yeol was arrested Wednesday, a first for a sitting president of the country. It's the latest turn in a political crisis sparked by his short-lived declaration of martial law last month, which eventually saw Yoon hiding out at his residence for weeks protected by personal security to avoid authorities who wanted to detain him on grounds of insurrection. More than 3,000 police officers marched on Yoon's residence Wednesday, and a motorcade later took him to the country's anti-corruption agency, the CIO, or the Corruption Investigation Office for high-ranking officials. South Korean journalists snapped the moment he stepped out of the car and into the agency's offices in Gwacheon, just south of Seoul. Investigators have 48 hours to question him. After that, they must release him or seek a warrant to detain him for longer. In a video message recorded before his detention, Yoon said he turned himself in for questioning to avoid any bloodshed and disputed the legality of the investigation and arrest.
Today, when I saw them break into the security area using firefighting equipment, I decided to respond to the CIO's investigation, despite it being an illegal investigation, to prevent unsavory bloodshed. However, that doesn't mean I am acknowledging the investigation of the CIO.
Earlier in the morning, scuffles broke out between Yoon's supporters and police who were trying to arrest him. Many of his supporters have compared his situation and that of US President-elect Donald Trump, who claimed voter fraud contributed to his election defeat in 2020. Yoon has also made unsubstantiated claims of election fraud, one of the reasons he gave to justify his short-lived martial law declaration. His lawyers have said the arrest warrant is illegal. They say it was issued by a court in the wrong jurisdiction, and the team set up to investigate him has no legal mandate to do so. Lawmakers voted to impeach Yoon last month after his martial law order on December 3rd ushered in unprecedented political turmoil. In a previous attempt to arrest Yoon on January 3rd, the Presidential Security Service and military guards blocked CIO investigators in a 6-hour standoff. The agency has since apologized for initially failing to arrest Yoon on that day. Separately, the country's constitutional court is deliberating whether to uphold Yoon's impeachment and permanently remove him from office or restore his presidential powers.
US imports from China finished the year strong. Companies have stockpiled shipments of toys, furniture and more ahead of Donald Trump's return to the White House. He plans to impose new tariffs that could revive a trade war between the two countries. Trump has threatened to slap tariffs of 10 to 60% on goods from China. During his first term, he mainly targeted Chinese parts and components. Economists and trade experts predict his next wave of tariffs could apply to finished goods. Beijing said Monday December exports surged to record levels. Officials cited concerns about escalating trade protectionism in the US and Europe. Trade data showed goods from China landing at US seaports in December rose by 14.5% year over year. Some US retailers may have rushed in goods to avoid the cost hit from potential new tariffs. But the analysis is complicated. Teasing out the true effect of overall import gains is difficult because importers keep such data private. Resilient US shoppers have also fueled demand, while some importers brought in safety stocks to protect against disruptions from Houthi attacks on shipping near the Suez Canal trade shortcut.
Chinese app Xiaohongshu, or RedNote in the West, saw a spike of new users from the US, just days before a proposed ban on social media TikTok. In fact, it topped free download rankings on Apple's US App Store this week. A live chat called TikTok Refugees had more than 50,000 American and Chinese users joining the room on Monday, and impromptu cultural exchanges were seen across the app between veteran Chinese users and American newcomers, including Americans asking Chinese for help with math homework, and the other asking for help with English. One refugee user named Crystal, who declined to give her last name, posted this introduction.
I just want to thank you for welcoming us to this app. If we do anything wrong, just let us know. Because we're used to making videos where we dance and do stupid stuff. Just let us know. And hopefully within 2 weeks, we're bilingual. I mean, that's my goal in life.
TikTok has a US user base of 170 million Americans, about half its population, and is owned by Chinese company ByteDance. The Justice Department has said TikTok poses a threat to national security because of a risk that China could use data on Americans for espionage, blackmail, or manipulate what gets shown to users. Content creator Gwenna Lathland, who has also made a move to RedNote, says she's treating it like a silent protest against the TikTok ban.
We as an American public feel so very silenced and ignored that this right here is our opportunity to really just shove a middle finger up in the air and go, no, we don't like this. You didn't listen to us. But so far, we have begged our representatives, please show us what this security issue is and why ByteDance is more guilty than everybody else. When if Chinese owned and run and accessed apps are a problem, why was RedNote even on? It's an even more Chinese app than the Chinese app we're all worried about right now. The newness will wear off once we're all sort of bored holding up that middle finger to the government. We'll wander off, but for now, I'm just sort of hanging out consuming.
Two sources told Reuters the sudden influx has taken RedNote by surprise. A person close to the company told Reuters more than 700,000 new users joined in just 2 days. Xiaohongshu is something like a Chinese answer to Instagram, geared more toward domestic Chinese users with little content in English. The sources say the company is now scrambling to find ways to moderate English language content and build English-Chinese translation tools. The company wants to mine the sudden rush of attention as executives see it as a potential path to achieve global popularity similar to TikTok's. Share prices of some China-listed companies that conduct business with Xiaohongshu surged past their daily limit Tuesday. It all comes as the deadline approaches for ByteDance to sell US assets of TikTok before January 19th or face a ban.
U.S. officials on Tuesday said President Joe Biden plans to relax sanctions on Cuba, just days before Donald Trump takes office. The measures were expected to give Cuba some economic relief in the short term, as it battles a crippling economic crisis. But some Cubans in Havana viewed Biden's plans as too little, too late.
He promised many things at the beginning, that he would help Cuba in many ways that he really never fulfilled. But this will be his final goodwill.
Well, we have to see what Trump does next. Knowing him, it's possible that they quit this week and Trump comes and everything goes backward. I see it as a somewhat useless action because how many advantages will we have? For how long? A couple of weeks? A few days?
The measures Biden plans include a reversal of several hardline restrictions put in place by Trump during his first term. A senior administration official said the measures include plans to lift the U.S. designation of Cuba as a state sponsor of terrorism and to undo a Trump order that restricted financial transactions with some Cubans. Officials said Biden expects the move would lead to the release of political prisoners in Havana. They did not specify the number of prisoners or give a time frame. In a brief letter to Congress, Biden said his steps were, quote, necessary to the national interests of the United States and will expedite a transition to democracy in Cuba. The Cuban government did not immediately respond to a Reuters request for comment.
South African rescuers have hauled up dozens of miners and dead bodies from an abandoned gold mine. That was according to police on Tuesday, after 2 days of operations at the site in the town of Stilfontein. Police began laying siege to the mine in August as part of a crackdown on illegal mining. Authorities have said survivors will face illegal mining and immigration charges. Here is Mzukizi Jam, a spokesperson at the South African National Civics Organization.
Yesterday they told us that about more than 400 people are still stuck down. They need to be extracted. And they also told us that the number of dead bodies is actually more than 100.
Police had previously cut off food and water supplies in an attempt to force the miners to the surface so they could be arrested. Now they're retrieving survivors and dead bodies. Footage issued by a miners' rights group on Monday had shown dozens of corpses and skeletal survivors inside the mine.